Hello, grounded Taurus. If the last few days have felt different, trust that feeling. What you're sensing is no longer a distant possibility or a vague impression you can't quite explain. The shift is already underway, and with each passing day, it becomes easier to recognize through the choices you're making, the people you're gravitating toward, and the things that no longer deserve your attention. Something meaningful is beginning to settle into place beneath the surface of your life. As June 24 and 25 unfold, the atmosphere carries a noticeably different rhythm than the restless energy that dominated much of the month. The pressure to constantly react, keep up, and divide your attention in every direction begins to fade. In its place comes a quieter awareness that encourages you to focus on what truly matters. Peace becomes more appealing than excitement. Depth becomes more valuable than distraction. Genuine connection becomes far more satisfying than constant activity. What's interesting is that this shift may not arrive through dramatic events. It often appears in small but meaningful moments. A situation that once consumed your thoughts no longer feels as important. A conversation that would have drawn you into conflict suddenly seems unnecessary. You begin noticing how much energy has been invested in things that never truly supported your growth. Because beneath all of this, a deeper realization is emerging. Your energy has value. For a long time, you may have believed that being patient, dependable, and available for everyone around you was simply part of who you are. Yet something is changing. You are becoming more aware that not everything deserves equal access to your time, attention, or emotional investment. Rather than asking who needs something from you, you may find yourself asking a different question. Who genuinely contributes to your sense of peace, stability, and well-being? That question alone has the power to reshape entire areas of your life. Part of this shift is connected to Chiron's recent entrance into Taurus. Chiron, often called the wounded healer, has a way of exposing beliefs we rarely stop to question. One of the most important lessons emerging now revolves around self-worth. Modern life teaches people to measure their value through achievement, productivity, and constant effort. Yet Chiron is inviting you to consider another possibility. What if your value was never dependent on how much you accomplish? What if your worth existed before the recognition, before the success, and before anyone else's approval? These questions may sound simple, but they reach much deeper than they first appear. They challenge the belief that you must constantly prove yourself in order to deserve peace, security, love, or abundance. And for Taurus, this lesson carries particular significance. Over the past several weeks, you may have started recognizing the difference between loyalty and obligation, between supporting others and carrying burdens that were never yours to carry, between investing in genuine growth and holding on to something simply because you've already invested so much time in it. Some relationships may be proving their strength during this period. Others may be revealing where effort has been flowing in only one direction. Neither realization is meant to create disappointment. Instead, it helps you see more clearly where your energy can continue growing and where it may be time to step back. The image that best captures this moment is not a lightning strike or a sudden breakthrough. It is fertile soil after a long season of drought. The rain has already fallen. The ground has softened. Now the roots are beginning to spread. That is the energy surrounding these days. Growth is happening beneath the surface before it becomes visible above it. This is one reason Chiron's movement into Taurus feels so important. Healing under Taurus energy is not abstract. It wants to become part of your daily life. It shows up through the way you care for your body, manage your resources, structure your routines, and create stability around yourself. You may feel drawn toward better habits, more rest, healthier boundaries, or a stronger connection to the environments that help you feel grounded. These changes may seem small on the surface, yet they are creating the foundation for much larger growth later on. Because lasting transformation requires roots. A seed cannot grow without soil. A tree cannot reach upward without something anchoring it below. In much the same way, emotional healing becomes stronger when it is supported by practical changes in everyday life. This process is also teaching an important lesson about receiving. Many people learn how to give long before they learn how to receive. They become comfortable supporting others, solving problems, and carrying responsibilities. yet accepting support for themselves can feel unfamiliar. Chiron is gently bringing that pattern into the light. You do not have to exhaust yourself before rest becomes acceptable. You do not have to struggle endlessly before abundance becomes available. You do not have to prove your worth before love becomes safe to receive. For some Taurus individuals, that realization may feel uncomfortable before it feels freeing. When you spent years earning, fixing, proving, or carrying, receiving can seem unfamiliar, yet this is exactly where the healing begins to deepen. You are being invited to replace survival with stability and self-doubt with self-respect. At the same time, another important influence is becoming stronger. On June 25, Venus forms a supportive trine with Saturn, bringing attention toward what can genuinely stand the test of time. This is not an energy focused on quick excitement or temporary attraction. It is focused on trust, consistency, and long-term growth. Whether the subject is love, finances, personal goals, or future plans, the question becomes surprisingly simple. What is actually proving itself? Saturn has a unique way of revealing the difference between what looks promising and what truly has substance. Time exposes weak foundations, but it also strengthens what is genuine. Under this influence, patience becomes a source of wisdom. You may begin recognizing that not every opportunity deserves your energy. Not every invitation deserves your attention. Not every possibility belongs in your future. Some opportunities arrive to impress you. Others arrive to support you. And during these days, the difference between the two becomes much easier to recognize. Together, these influences create a powerful moment of alignment. Healing, self-worth, emotional clarity, and practical growth are beginning to work together rather than compete for your attention. The energy surrounding June 24 and 25 is not asking you to rush. It is asking you to build, to strengthen what matters, to trust what continues showing up, to invest in what is proving its value over time. Yet even as stronger foundations begin forming, another lesson is approaching. Not everything that appears promising is necessarily built to last. Over the next few days, the sky introduces a more subtle challenge, one that has less to do with what is growing and more to do with how clearly you are seeing it. Because sometimes the hardest thing to recognize is not what is missing, it is the difference between what is truly there and what we hope will eventually be there. And that distinction is about to become extremely important. Over the past few weeks, something has been quietly changing beneath the surface of your life. At first, it may have felt difficult to define, like a feeling that stayed just beyond the reach of words. But as June 24 and 25 unfold, that inner shift becomes easier to recognize through the choices you're making, the boundaries you're setting, and the things that suddenly matter more than they used to. What once felt like a faint signal is becoming something you can actually see taking shape. Part of this transformation has happened gradually, almost invisibly. You may not have noticed the exact moment it began, but your relationship with yourself has been evolving. Chiron's recent move into Taurus continues to work beneath the surface, drawing attention toward a deeper layer of healing that extends far beyond old emotional wounds. Instead of focusing only on who you are, this energy asks a different question. Do you truly believe you deserve peace, stability, and a life that feels secure? For many years, the emphasis was on identity, independence, and self-discovery. Now the focus shifts toward embodiment. Taurus brings healing into the physical world, inviting you to strengthen your relationship with your body, your finances, your daily routines, and your sense of worth. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about learning to trust the value that already exists within you. If you've been craving more rest, more simplicity, or a slower pace, pay attention. If you felt called to nourish your body better, spend more intentionally, or create greater stability in your environment, these impulses carry meaning. Healing is no longer content to remain an idea. It wants to become part of your everyday experience. Many Taurus individuals may be noticing this shift in subtle ways first. You may feel less interested in filling every empty moment with activity. The urge to constantly stay busy, productive, or available to everyone may be losing some of its appeal. What once felt necessary may now feel exhausting. This can be surprising if you're used to measuring progress through effort alone. There is often a belief that if something matters, it must require constant work, yet this period is introducing a different perspective. Sometimes growth happens through allowing rather than forcing. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is create enough space to hear what your deeper instincts have been trying to tell you. You may also notice yourself becoming more sensitive to environments that drain your energy. Certain conversations may leave you feeling depleted. Certain commitments may feel heavier than they once did. This is not a sign that you are becoming less capable. It is a sign that your awareness is becoming more refined. As your relationship with yourself changes, your relationship with your time begins changing too. You become more conscious of what deserves your attention and what simply consumes it. That distinction becomes increasingly important because the opportunities developing around you now require presence, not constant motion. The emotional lessons of recent weeks are searching for roots, like seeds settling into fertile soil after a long-awaited rain. Insights that once felt temporary are beginning to anchor themselves in reality. What was once an emotional realization is slowly becoming a new way of living. The timing matters because Chiron entered Taurus just as the collective energy began shifting inward. The soil was prepared before the next stage of growth arrived. Strong roots are forming first, and that changes everything. Growth built on solid ground lasts far longer than growth fueled by urgency. Several important energies are weaving together during these days. The sun's recent movement into Cancer continues to draw attention toward emotional truth, belonging, and the people who genuinely matter. Beneath the noise of daily life, many are discovering that safety is not simply a place. It is a feeling created by the relationships, environments, and choices that support who you are becoming. At the same time, the lingering influence between the Sun and Chiron continues illuminating a powerful lesson. Some of the qualities you judge most harshly in yourself may actually hold the key to your growth. Vulnerability, honesty, sensitivity, and authenticity are not weaknesses here. They are becoming sources of strength. For Taurus, this lesson can feel especially significant because strength is often associated with endurance. You push through challenges, you remain steady when others become uncertain. You carry responsibilities because you know how important reliability can be. Yet one of the lessons unfolding now suggests that true strength is not only found in what you can carry, it is also found in what you are willing to acknowledge. Admitting that something hurts, admitting that you need support, admitting that a situation is no longer aligned with who you are becoming. There is a quiet courage in honesty, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that changes lives over time. And many Taurus individuals are beginning to discover that emotional truth creates far more stability than emotional avoidance ever could. Yet another layer emerges through the Libra moon influence. Awareness alone is no longer enough. The desire for a stronger future must eventually be supported by action. Whether that means setting a boundary, having an overdue conversation, making a practical decision, or finally choosing yourself, movement becomes part of the healing. And then comes one of the most important influences surrounding June 25. Venus forms a supportive trine to Saturn, creating an atmosphere that favors commitment, reliability, and long-term results. This energy is not interested in quick excitement or temporary promises. It wants to know what can stand the test of time. Relationships, financial decisions, and personal goals all benefit from patience, consistency, and steady effort. This influence can feel very different from the fast-moving energy that often dominates modern life. The world tends to celebrate immediate results, sudden breakthroughs, and overnight success. Venus and Saturn are interested in something else entirely. They are interested in foundations. Think about the strongest structures in the world. They are rarely built quickly. They are built carefully. Every layer supports the next. Every decision contributes to long-term stability. This is the same principle operating in your relationships, finances, and personal goals right now. Something may be growing slowly in your life. So slowly that part of you wonders whether enough progress is being made. Yet this influence suggests that slow growth should not be mistaken for lack of growth. Some of the most important developments happen beneath the surface, long before visible results appear. The relationship that develops through trust, the financial habit that gradually creates security, the personal goal that compounds over months rather than days. These are the kinds of investments favored under this energy. At the very same time, the Sun forms a challenging square to Neptune, adding an important note of caution. While one part of the sky encourages building something real, another warns against seeing only what you want to see. This is where dreams must be balanced with discernment. Before making a major commitment, allow reality to confirm what your heart hopes is true. This does not mean becoming fearful or suspicious. It means giving yourself permission to see clearly. Sometimes people become attached to potential. They fall in love with what something could become, rather than what it currently is. They remain invested in possibilities long after reality has begun offering different information. The energy surrounding June 25 gently asks you to separate those two experiences. Potential has value, but reality deserves your attention. Hope can inspire growth, but clarity helps you make wise decisions. For Taurus, this lesson is particularly important because loyalty often runs deep. Once you invest your heart, your trust, or your energy, you naturally want to see things succeed. Yet true discernment means allowing actions, patterns, and consistency to speak louder than wishes. What is meant for you will not require you to ignore what you know. It will become clearer as time passes, not more confusing. Together, these influences create a powerful turning point. Healing is evolving into stability. Self-worth is evolving into confidence. Insight is evolving into action. And for Taurus, perhaps the greatest gift of all is the realization that you no longer need to chase what is meant for you. Perhaps this is why these days feel different from so many other turning points you've experienced. The changes unfolding now are not demanding dramatic reinvention. They are not asking you to become someone else overnight. Instead, they are helping you return to what has always been true, the values that matter most, the relationships that feel genuine, the dreams that continue calling to you even after distractions fade, the parts of yourself that have remained steady beneath every challenge and transition. Growth does not always arrive through becoming more. Sometimes it arrives through becoming more honest about what already matters, and that may be one of the most valuable gifts this period has to offer. This energy speaks directly to your long-term growth. The need to constantly prove yourself begins to loosen its grip, replaced by a quieter confidence, rooted in self-trust. In relationships, you may find yourself drawn toward consistency rather than intensity. In finances, you may begin choosing sustainability over short-term gain. And in your personal life, you're learning that what truly belongs in your future is not what arrives the fastest, but what proves itself worthy of staying. The blessings unfolding around you right now reach far beyond love alone. As June 24 and 25 continue to develop, the focus shifts towards something deeper and ultimately more valuable, the life you are building from the inside out. Emotional healing is no longer existing only in your heart or your thoughts. It is beginning to influence your choices, your priorities, your finances, your relationships, and the foundation beneath your future. Little by little, what once felt uncertain is becoming more solid. You may notice this shift showing up in surprisingly practical ways. Decisions that once felt confusing become easier to navigate. Certain priorities naturally rise to the surface while others lose their importance. Instead of constantly asking what is possible, you may find yourself asking what is sustainable. Instead of chasing every opportunity, you become more interested in identifying which opportunities actually deserve your time and energy. While everyone experiences this energy differently, the underlying lesson remains remarkably similar. Some people are being guided toward healing family dynamics. Others are being asked to strengthen partnerships, redefine personal boundaries, or make decisions that support long-term growth. What is changing varies from person to person, but the invitation is the same. Invest your energy in what can genuinely last. Across the Zodiac, there is a noticeable movement away from temporary excitement and toward meaningful stability. People are becoming less interested in appearances and more interested in substance. Connections built on trust begin carrying more weight than grand gestures. The desire to prove yourself gradually gives way to something healthier. The desire to build a life that feels secure, authentic, and deeply aligned with your values. There is also a growing awareness that stability is not the same thing as limitation. For a long time, many people associated growth with constant movement, endless change, or dramatic breakthroughs, yet the energy surrounding these days suggests something different. Real growth often happens quietly. It develops through repeated choices, steady effort, and commitments that continue showing up long after the initial excitement fades. For Taurus, this message lands with particular significance. Chiron's recent arrival in your sign marks the beginning of a profound chapter centered around self-worth, healing, and personal value. This journey is not asking you to become someone else. It is asking you to recognize the value that already exists within you and to stop measuring your worth through external validation alone. You may notice yourself becoming more selective about where your energy goes. Approval from others may feel less important than it once did. In its place comes a growing desire for relationships, environments, and opportunities that support your well-being rather than drain it. This is one of the first signs that your relationship with yourself is beginning to change. You may also become more aware of how often you have underestimated your own needs in order to keep peace, maintain harmony, or meet expectations. Now the focus begins shifting. Instead of asking what everyone else requires from you, life encourages you to consider what truly supports you. That adjustment may seem small, but it has the power to transform entire areas of your life over time. Financial themes may also become more meaningful during this period. Rather than seeking quick rewards or short-term gains, you may feel drawn toward choices that create security over time. The same principle applies to relationships. Reliability becomes more attractive than unpredictability. Consistency becomes more valuable than intensity. What once seemed exciting may no longer feel as compelling as what feels safe, steady, and trustworthy. This is especially important because Taurus energy understands something many people forget. What lasts is rarely built overnight. A strong foundation develops gradually. Trust develops gradually. Financial stability develops gradually. Even confidence often develops gradually. The patience required for that process becomes one of your greatest strengths during this period. Other signs are experiencing their own versions of growth as well. Some are discovering new possibilities through friendship, creativity, or romance. Others are strengthening commitments, raising their standards, or learning to trust more deeply. Yet beneath all these different experiences, one shared truth continues emerging. Growth becomes sustainable when it is rooted in something real. And this is where the energy of June 25 becomes especially important. Venus forms a beautiful trine to Saturn, creating one of the most supportive influences for commitment, maturity, and long-term results. This is the energy of roots growing deeper beneath the soil. It favors relationships that can endure, financial decisions built on wisdom, and goals supported by patience and discipline. It reminds you that what lasts is often built slowly. This influence has a way of revealing the difference between potential and proof. It encourages you to look beyond promises and pay attention to patterns. Who continues showing up? What continues growing? Which opportunities continue demonstrating their value over time? Saturn rewards consistency, and Venus helps you recognize where that consistency already exists. Yet the sky offers another lesson at the same time. As the Sun forms a square to Neptune, clarity can become more difficult to hold on to. Hope can easily blur into expectation. A beautiful possibility can begin looking like a certainty before it has actually proven itself. This influence does not ask you to become cynical, but it does encourage discernment. Under Neptune's influence, it can be tempting to fill in the blanks with optimism. You may want to believe someone will change, that a situation will resolve itself, or that a possibility is more secure than it truly is. Sometimes those hopes are justified, sometimes they are not. That is why patience becomes so important during this window. These days are not only about believing, they are also about verifying. Before making a major commitment, Ask the extra question. Before placing your trust somewhere important, look at the actions behind the words. The strongest opportunities in your life right now will not disappear because you took a moment to seek clarity. In fact, what is genuine often becomes stronger when examined closely. Together, these influences create one of the most meaningful turning points of the month. Chiron is helping you heal your relationship with your own value. Venus and Saturn are helping you recognize what deserves a place in your future. Neptune is helping you separate genuine potential from wishful thinking. And for Taurus, the deeper realization may be this: the things truly meant for you no longer need to be chased. They reveal themselves through consistency, integrity, patience, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your worth. What is taking root now may not arrive with fanfare or dramatic announcements, but it carries something far more valuable: the ability to grow steadily, endure challenges, and become a lasting part of the life you are creating. At the same time, June 25th carries an important lesson that deserves your attention. As the Sun forms a challenging square to Neptune, the line between intuition and expectation can become surprisingly thin. Feelings may feel convincing, hopes may seem like facts, and something you desperately want to believe could temporarily appear clearer than it actually is. This does not mean your instincts are wrong. It simply means this is a moment to slow down and let reality catch up with emotion. If a major commitment, financial decision, relationship milestone, or long-term agreement is standing in front of you, give yourself permission to pause. Ask the extra question. Gather the missing detail. Allow actions, patterns, and consistency to reveal what words alone cannot. This message is especially important for Taurus because so much of your growth right now revolves around trust and self-worth. Chiron's presence in your sign is teaching you that true security is built on truth, not wishful thinking. Something that is genuinely meant for you will not disappear because you took a little more time to understand it clearly. At the same time, the supportive influence of Venus and Saturn continues working in the background. One part of the sky asks you to verify, the other asks you to build. Together, they create a powerful lesson. What deserves a place in your future will be able to withstand both patience and scrutiny. Real opportunities become stronger when they are tested. As the month continues, the story begins entering its next phase. On June 29, Mercury turns retrograde in Cancer, opening a 3-week period centered around emotional reflection, family connections, and the foundations that shaped you. Memories may surface unexpectedly. Conversations left unfinished may return for resolution. People, places, or emotions connected to your sense of belonging may ask for a second look. For Taurus, this retrograde is less about revisiting the past for its own sake, and more about understanding what still deserves space in your life. Some old emotional patterns may finally reveal their purpose. Some family dynamics may become easier to understand. In certain cases, a conversation that once felt impossible may now find the right words. Only a few hours later, a full moon in Capricorn introduces a necessary counterbalance. While recent weeks have emphasized emotional healing, comfort, and personal security, this lunar energy reminds you that your ambitions matter too. The future you are building requires both emotional stability and practical direction. Heart and responsibility must learn to work together. This full moon may bring clarity around long-term goals, career decisions, or responsibilities that can no longer be postponed. If Cancer season has been asking what makes you feel safe, Capricorn now asks what you are building with that security. The question shifts from healing alone to purposeful growth. Then, on June 30th, another major chapter begins as Jupiter moves into Leo for the first time since 2014. This transition feels especially meaningful because it arrives only after weeks of emotional grounding and reflection. The roots have been strengthened first, the foundation has been reinforced. Now the focus begins turning toward visibility, creativity, confidence, and self-expression. Where Jupiter in Cancer helped people reconnect with emotional security and a sense of belonging, Jupiter in Leo encourages them to share their gifts more openly with the world. The lesson is not to abandon what you've built, it is to build upon it. Confidence becomes stronger when it grows from a stable foundation rather than from the need for external validation. When you look back at the larger journey unfolding throughout this period, a clear pattern begins to emerge. First came the healing, then came the rebuilding of trust, then came the recognition of your own value. Each step prepared you for the next, even when progress felt slow. If you felt drawn toward peace, simplicity, stability, or the people who genuinely matter, there has been a reason for it. Those instincts were not signs of withdrawal. They were guiding you back toward what is real. While others may only recognize these shifts months from now, you sensed them long before they became visible. And perhaps that is the most important message of all. The life you're building right now is not based on urgency. It is not based on proving yourself. It is being built through patience, discernment, self-respect, and choices that align with your deepest values. The opportunities ahead are real, but so is the foundation you are creating beneath them. If this message resonated with you, thank you for sharing this moment with me. And Taurus, if you're choosing what is real over what is merely tempting, comment 2525 below. I'd love to hear what part of this message spoke to you most, and if you'd like to continue receiving videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and stay connected.